Alright, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to what is this, 3?
I believe so.
Yep, episode 3 of the Fatman Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Fatman, Trait 12. Here's my co-host, Philip Zuke. He's Gara. Philip, say what's up to the people.
What's up, guys?
Alright, sorry, it's hot today, so I have to get my water. Alright, so today's podcast, we're going to talk about, we're going to go over a couple of newsy things real quick that I want to get out of the way. And then we're going to hop right into it. And then today's episode is going to be on the Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z gaming franchise. So we're going to go over all the games in the list, all of them, starting from NES all the way down to now. So then that's what we're going to hit. And then, yeah, that's it. We're not going to talk about all of them, so we're probably just going to name off some of them and go over the list, and then we'll talk about some of the ones that we like. So we'll do that way. So yeah, let's get started. So right off the bat, there's a couple of news things that happened this week that I kind of wanted to get into. So one of them was Niantic. Niantic, they laid off, and if you don't know who Niantic is the creator of Pokemon Go. Everybody knows Pokemon Go is like the sensation that almost brought peace to the world at one point in 2016. Everybody was playing it. A lot of people still play it. I myself have 480 something Pokemon. I've since retired, hung up my trainer hat, and haven't really gotten back into it. They do have a couple of games in development that are Pokemon Goers. They have the Monster Hunter, I forgot the name of it, that they showed at Summer Games Fest. And then they have another one, I forgot what it was. Oh, no, that one's already out. The Pikmin Blossom, or I don't know if it's out or if it's already, or if it's coming out. But they laid off 200 employees this week. 200 people without a job now, and they say that it's because that AR, MR, whatever they're calling it, just is so crowded now, even though they really did have a hand in it. So they had to let go of 200 people, and that kind of sucks. So, but yeah, did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did. I saw something about it in the news. Like I've mentioned before, I'm not really much of a Pokemon fan, so I really didn't look further into it. But it does look that over 200 people did lose their jobs because the genre of AR games is just I wouldn't say like it's overcrowding. It's like more of a not many people are going for AR games. They're mainly sticking to VR or just normal games. AR's too much of a new thing right now.
I think it's just a
Maybe,
mix of it being a mobile game too. Like mobile games just don't seem to stick. It's like I myself don't find myself getting into mobile gaming too much. Like I'll play a new game here or there. Like my go-to game when I decide to play a mobile game is probably Dragon Ball Legends. I haven't really played it in a while, but that was my go-to. And then before that, it was the other Dragon Ball game, the one with the mixed match of
Dokkan
balls.
Battle.
Dokkan, yeah, Dokkan, and then like that's pretty much it. And then of course when Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis comes out, I'll probably hop onto that too. But yeah, I think it's just mobile gaming. People will just it's so in the now, and then it's you're done. And I think that's ultimately what did it in. But yeah, so I wanted to go over that. It sucks, sad to hear that 200 people lost their job, and hopefully they land somewhere quick, pretty easily. So yeah, shout out to the Niantic people who lost their job. Hopefully you find something fast. And then the second story, well, the biggest story of the week really is the PlayStation versus Microsoft court battle that's going on right now. Seems to be picking up a lot of steam. They had depositions come in from Jim Ryan, depositions from, or no, actually, well, Phil Spencer's in the courtroom with a couple of his underhands, and then the court battle continues. They had emails and all kinds of stuff that was out there that was almost it was like whoa, pretty. It was pretty like insane hearing the reports that were coming out. Like what was it, an Xbox employee saying that they wanted to end PlayStation or put them out of business, and they had a way to do it, and um, they were that's what the it was coming down to. But and then PlayStation was saying how Call of Duty, because really for them it's Call of Duty. The focus is Call of Duty and mobile, because King being one of the biggest mobile companies out there, and then Call of Duty being the biggest first-person shooter franchise, Sony doesn't want to lose that franchise, and they're not gonna lose it because then Microsoft offered 10-year contracts to Nintendo, to PlayStation, to Steam. I don't. They opt to everybody. Everyone. It was like Oprah. Everyone was getting a contract, and PlayStation still just seems to have a big problem with it. And I'll tell you this right here, right off the bat. I'm a PlayStation gamer first. Everything I do and play is on a PlayStation. I very rarely touch my Xbox. I very rarely get on Game Pass, but when I do, it's because it's you're paying $15 for an astronomical library with some good games, especially with Starfield coming out and a bunch of other games that coming out that I want to try and I don't have to pay $70 for. I'm all for that. Um, so as like I was saying, as a PlayStation gamer first, I'm all for this acquisition to happen. I think that Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard would be great because I don't have, like I was saying earlier, I don't have to pay for Diablo, I don't have to pay for Call of Duty. I could just go on the Game Pass, download them on my computer, play them on my Xbox for free. Well, technically not for free because I'm paying $15, but yeah, I'd rather do that. So, I mean, that's my opinion on it. What's your opinion on the whole never-ending court battle with Microsoft?
Well, it's kind of stupid on Sony's part to continue fighting this. Sooner or later, Activision was going to be acquired by one of them. I think Sony's just meant that honestly that Microsoft pulled the trigger first, and I see why they're mad, but Microsoft has already stated that they would not take away Call of Duty from us, PlayStation players, because I myself like to play on PlayStation myself. Right. Really, they're just trying to delay this as much as possible. All I gotta say about it is the fact that if this deal does go through, like, because they've already dropped some hard information on a bunch of stuff, including I don't know what year they said it was, but they dropped some major spoilers for the next gen consoles from both teams.
Yeah, it was 2026. They plan to have they're saying that both next generation consoles will be out by 2026. I don't think it's the next systems. I think it's more of an upgrade. It'll be, in my opinion, I think it's the PS5 Pro and then the Xbox X Plus or whatever they're gonna call it, and then the S Plus or S Ultra, whatever they end up calling it.
Yeah, and at this point, Sony Sony has a bunch of good intellectual properties that they already own. Microsoft is simply just trying to make it to where um, games are more accessible to people that can't, usually afford them.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just trying to make life a bit easier, and Sony just sees it as a challenge that they're not willing to take.
Right. Yeah, ultimately I don't see. Man, I want to say after next console generation, I don't see Xbox having a console. I see more of them getting in with, especially with xCloud. I see them more going into the streaming route and just making it to where you can do it on your phone, your PC. They want to. I think they're working on like a Roku box style thing, because if you look at when Phil Spencer does interviews, he has it on a shelf behind him. There's a white little box in there that I forgot the name of the project that it was called, but there's that thing, and it's like a little dongle that hooks into your TV, and then you just hook up an Xbox controller wirelessly to it, and it works through your TV and Wi-Fi. And then they already have xCloud working on certain Samsung TVs. So it's yeah, I really don't see Microsoft wanting to make a console that saves them a ton of money, and then they just like raise the price on, and they just raised the price on Game Pass too. Um, they went up by $1, and then PC Game Pass was the only one that didn't go up. But yeah, I just see them being like, you know what, let's just raise the Game Pass to $20 a month, and then we have it on everything. We don't need a box. That's less money for us to spend, more money everywhere else. So that's ultimately where I see it, and I think that's what PlayStation doesn't want, because PlayStation doesn't have the ecosystem to support cloud yet, even though they did buy Gaikai, and really haven't done anything with it. I mean, nothing too extreme with it, nothing worth talking about, and yeah, I think that's what they're afraid of. So I don't think they want that to happen, and really, honestly, it's petty. So, but yeah, that's what I wanted to get into. But again, you've heard it here at first. Both of us PlayStation gamers first, and we definitely approve of the acquisition of Sony. I mean, of Sony, of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft. And yeah, most PlayStation gamers don't agree. I think it's split somewhere down the middle, more towards no, a lot more yes. But the fanboys needs to stop. Um, because Microsoft owning Activision Blizzard is a good thing, especially if you have Game Pass. So that's where we'll leave that. So, um, there was that, and then so let's get into it. Let's just hop right into it. So, we are going to talk about the Dragon Ball series, the franchise, the gaming franchise. As you can see, it's playing in the background here. This is Kakarot. Dragon Ball has a special place in my heart, a special place in Zio's heart, in it being that Dragon Ball, and most likely this is the scenario for a lot of people, Dragon Ball was my very first anime. Now, I started a little bit earlier than Zio did, and I watched the original series, so I literally started from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to GT to Super. My kids all now watch it and enjoy it, and I think we've got figures, and I've got pretty much games galore as far as that goes. Um, and it's just it's just an outstanding franchise, between the characters, the fighting in it, the style of the animation, the story, the transformations in the series, and it's just one of the best animes out there. And my favorite character, the GOAT, is obviously Vegeta. I mean, everyone always say Goku, but it's Vegeta. He's the real hero of the series, even though he gets shafted 99% of the time. And Goku, in my opinion, has always been the villain, because he's always getting everybody into trouble. But that's where I'll leave that. So, yeah, like I was saying though, but my history with Dragon Ball starts all the way from Dragon Ball, and then it goes on to like current, and I'm just absolutely in love with it. I'm 36, I think. I don't remember. I don't keep track of my age, but I still watch the series. I'll even go back and watch it on Funimation and all of whatever their streaming services now, and yeah, it's just still just such a good series. So let's see. So where does Dragon Ball start for you?
Oddly enough, yeah, you started earlier than me. For me, I didn't get into it until around Kai, actually, when it was airing on Nicktoons.
Oh yeah, the worst.
Old Nickelodeon version.
Yeah, the worst version of them all is the old Nicktoons version.
That's where mine started. I believe it actually started in the middle of, I believe, the Frieza saga, actually, if I recall. That's the first episode I saw.
Yeah.
And that's because my brother was watching it, and I happened to walk into his room to ask him a question, and I saw it, and I just ended up sitting down and watching the whole episode with him. and that's where my love of anime really spiraled off for anime in general.
Right.
Was from watching that one episode. I started watching all of them. I remember when Kai finally ended, and after the Cell Saga, I remember going to the store, to Walmart, seeing that they had the rest, they had the Boo Saga on DVDs, and we just ended up. I convinced my mom to buy them, and me and my brother would just sit and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's Sorry, got a message from. Anyways, yeah. No. I mean, the booze. It's a legendary series too. I mean, it just like it's weird how many versions of the show there are too. Because like you said, you started with the Nicktoon, which is widely considered the worst one because of the censorship part of it. And then I started out with the Toonami one. So every day after school, I would come home and Toonami would be on, and then you'd have that anime loop of what was it? It was Cowboy Bebop. I don't know. Maybe that was the Midnight Run. I think Cowboy Bebop was at midnight because it was considered more of a mature anime. But it was Gundam Wing, Dragon Ball Z, and then Outlaw Star, and everybody remembers, if they're about my age, remembers the old Toonami run. But yeah, so and then when I found out there was games in there, well, that changed it all because then I was like hunting down the video games. So my first introduction into the gaming series was actually the very first Budokai, and that was like the fighting game of fighting games when I was in school because we would literally get into fights at my house with me, my friends, and all that over who was the best. Obviously, I was the best at that game. Even to this day, I still rule. Um, but yeah, we'd get into like fist fights over matches in that game. Um, but we'll start off with the first game in this series, which was Dragon Ball Dahi. I'm gonna screw this up. Dahiko?
Yeah, Daihiko.
Yeah, Dahiko. It was for the Super Cassette. Have no idea what that was. Japanese only. Came out in 1986, so year I was born. Um, and then the next game in the series was Dragon Ball uh, Shenlong no Nazo.
Yep.
In America, that was Dragon Power, and I actually do own that. It's over here for my NES somewhere, my Nintendo system. I don't want to go look for it, but it's here. Um, Actually, if I remember right, because there was something weird about that game where they couldn't have the rights for Dragon Ball, so the character wasn't actually Goku. It was like a weird little kid, and then it was essentially it was Dragon Ball, but because of the way that it was all presented, like you they couldn't use the rights to the game or whatever, and it was pretty weird. Yeah, here we go. Um, so they had to change certain things. So he had a white gi instead of the blue one. Uh, Master Roshi was changed. They don't have the name here, but Bulma in the game was called Nora. Yamcha was Lancer. Oolong was called Pudgy. Pilaf is called King Minos, and the Kamehameha was changed to the Wind Wave. And then instead of looking for Dragon Balls, you were looking for Crystal Balls. So that was the Dragon Power. That one came out here on the NES. I do have it. I got to show that on camera one day because that game I actually just recently played it too. And it's actually pretty good. It's funny though when you look at it though because it's so weird. You know what it is, but and then let's see, that came out in 1986 in Japan. In North America, it came out in '88. And then 90 and 93 in other areas. And then you got the next game in the series, August 12th, 1988 for the Famicom. You got Dragon Ball Daimyo Oops. Fakatsu. Uh,
Yeah, Daimo Fukasatsu.
yeah. So that was a Japanese.
It helps when you watched a bunch of sub version of animes.
I
Kind
would
of pick
butcher
it
it
up.
anyways. So that came out August 12th, 1988 for the Famicom Japanese release only. And then Dragon Ball, I guess next one was Dragon Ball 3 Gokuden. That was Famicom Japanese only, and that was 89. And it's crazy to think like how far the series actually goes back, because it's like, uh, because those games those are NES. That's insane.
Yeah.
And then we get into the 90s, and then you got Dragon Ball Kyushu Seiyagen for the Famicom. That's October 27th, 1990. Um, and then you got, after that, August 10th, 1991, Dragon Ball Z2, uh, Genkishin Frieza. I actually do have that. Go ahead and then read the rest of the list. I'm gonna go pull those up real quick.
Sure. All right, and then released in Japan on January 25th, 1992. You have Dragon Ball Z Super Saiya Denetsu. That one was released for the Super Famicom. Then you got Dragon Ball Z 3, released in Japan in August 7th, 92. Dragon Ball Z 3 Resin Jinzon Ningen. I probably butchered that one.
Oh
That one's
yeah,
really,
in 1992, Dragon Ball 3.
yeah.
So I I don't want to have to dig through the other ones, but I do have the Japanese NES Dragon Ball games, and then here's one of them right here. Um, oh, it's not coming through the camera. Anyways, this is the one that's this would be this is the Cell Saga one. So this would be Dragon Ball. This would be Dragon Ball Z3, I think. Yeah, yeah. This is the third one. So yeah, so I do have these. Can't play them because they they're obviously in Japanese. I do have a translator, um, but yeah, it's hard to play still. But these games were crazy because they weren't like regular games; they were like RPGs, and then you play them. They're a card style game, so you would then like select your card, and each card was a different attack. So then, depending on how you played, that determined whether or not ultimately your win factor and all that. And it was actually really cool. So I do have the translated versions on my Steam Deck, and I kind of played them a little bit, and they're really fun. But I've been playing other stuff, so I kind of just gave them a little glance over. But I'll probably go back to them because they are actually pretty fun as a card based system on them. It's fun to go back to those old ones. And then we got December 29th, 1992. We got Dragon Ball Z, uh, Getchu
Ekiro
Tenkaichi.
Tenkaichi Budokai.
Yeah, and that one, I think, if I remember right, that was another. So this game was unique. So this one came with a special card reader that you needed for your Famicom. I actually do have the card reader with my Famicom system. I have the Japanese Famicom or NES in America, and I have the Japanese Super Famicom, yeah, right here in my cabinet. Um, and you did need a little card reader. It's a little, mine's a yellow box, and a little yellow box, and then you would buy these cards, and in the cards you'd scan them in there, and then you'd play the game like that. I have a couple of the cards. I need to get the rest of them because they are hard to find, but it's actually really cool, really ahead of its time at that
Yeah,
time.
it seems like it might have been a precursor to when Nintendo uh dropped the amiibos
Right,
when you scan them into games. It almost seems like though they took inspiration from the original from that.
right. And it says it came out in 2018 for the Nintendo Switch too. Huh? I'll have to look at that. I didn't even know. Maybe it was Japanese release only. That's cool.
Uh oh yeah. does say that. And then the next one we got Dragon Ball Z Super Budoten.
Yeah, I want to think that was a Super Nintendo game. Was it?
I believe. Let's see. And it was the first one in the Budoten series.
It was for the Super Nintendo. Yeah. I had that. I traded it. I don't remember what I traded it for, but I had it. It was a good game. It was. I think it was. I think it was a fighting game. It was probably one of the first 2D fighters. It was actually pretty cool though. And then after that we got Dragon Ball Z Gaiden. I'm not gonna say the rest because Gaiden's good enough. And then that was for
The Super Famicom and in '93, and in 2015 for the Nintendo 3DS, all in Japan.
yeah, Japanese only releases.
So what this one is?
Yeah, go ahead and go over the list. I gotta go check something real quick.
Yep. So then the next one was Super Budoten 2, released in Japan in December 17th, 1993, in Europe in June of 94, and in North America on October 20th, 2015. North America really got this one late. Let's see. Super Fighting Story 2. The next one on the list, Dragon Ball Z Buyu Retsuden, released in Japan on April 1st, 1994, and in Europe on June 1994 for the Mega Drive. Now, I don't know what the Mega Drive is per se. I haven't heard of that console, but then again, it is well before my time. Next one on the list is for the Pladia. This one doesn't have a release. The game was released September 23rd, 1994. Looks like it might have been a Japan only release and it is called Dragon Ball Z Shin Seijin Zenmetsu Kikaku Chikuyu Hen. I probably butchered that.
You do not take your little brother outside.
The next one after that is Super Budoten 3, released in Japan on September 29th, 1994, and in Europe on January 25th, 1995 for the Super Famicom. The next game after that one was released in Japan on the PC, actually. The first one to be on the PC Engine. On PC Engine, which was the Japanese version of the Turbo Graphics 16, was released on November 11th, 1994, and it's called Dragon Ball Z Irenaru Sangoku Denetsu. The next one was released on the Pladia on December 16th, 1994. That is Dragon Ball Z Gaiden Seijin Seijin Zetsumetsu Keku Uchuhen. The next one on the list is Dragon Ball Z Super Goku Den Sotsugi Hen. And that was released for the Super Famicom on March 24th, 1995 in Japan. Then we get into the 90s and 2000s with Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22, released in Japan on July 28th, 95, in Europe in the next year in June 1996, and in North America on March 25th, 2003 for the PlayStation. Now, have you played this one?
Which one was it?
Ultimate Battle 22.
Ultimate Battle. Yeah, that was PlayStation 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything to note about that one?
So it Ultimate Battle 22 is considered one of the not so good Dragon Ball games. It was really hard. The battle system in it was kind of weird. Um, it just was really, really janky. Like, it wasn't something that you could. It wasn't really. Really, all I can say, it was just a bad game. It was just a bad game.
Alright, the next one that was released after that one was on the Super Famicom on September 22nd, 1995. It was another Dragon Ball Z Super Goku Den Kaikuzi Hen. And then on November 17th, 1995 was Dragon Ball Z Shin Budeten for the Sega Saturn. Let's see. Then we got
They had a Dragon Ball Saturn game, huh?
Yep.
Was it Japanese only?
Yeah, it was a Japanese only one. It looks like it's actually the fourth installment of the Super Budeten series.
Oh, neat. Oh, what do you know? I'm gonna have to buy that.
Yep, and then
21,
we
21 bucks
got
on eBay.
not bad. Then you got Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension released in Japan on March 29th, 1996, and in Europe, February 1997 for the Super Famicom or SNES.
Right. Yeah, I remember those. Not very good.
This one was released in Japan and Europe. In Japan, it was known as Dragon Ball Z Iranaru Dragon Ball Denetsu. In Europe, it was known as Dragon Ball Z The Legend. It was a PlayStation and Sega Saturn run, released in Japan on May 31st, 1996, and in Europe, December 1996.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Oh gosh, where is it? Oh, there it is. So that one that you're talking about. Hold on, bud. So that one you're talking about is right here. That's this one. This game right here is still today my favorite Dragon Ball game ever. Now, for those that haven't played this game was we called it Dragon Ball Legends. This was originally our Legends. Now this game I still say is the best in the series, even today. Even though some of the newer ones are like say Kakarot is a little bit better, playability wise. But this game right here was literally about speed. You felt like you were playing the anime with that game because the way that you had to play it. So I still to this day can keep a combo going. 20 plus combos is how they rank it. So, and it goes all the way into the Majin Buu series. So it starts at the Saiyan, ends where it ends. It goes over the entire Z series, and I think most of the time it's like a three player tag team style thing where you tag in and out different characters, or you can just roll with one. But the fighting style in there was just so fast paced. Like, and really, it's just it was like one button in the arrow directions or the D-pad, but it just felt so good. Like, and then your team is building a meter, and as your meter goes over to being full, the enemy also can. It's like a tug of war. So whoever puts in the most damage is telling you which way that the combo meter's going. So once it gets full on either side, it goes into a cutscene where your character does their ultimate attack, So with Vegeta, he's got two. It's Big Bang, Final Flash, Goku's Kamehameha, Spirit Bomb, and then the Instant Transmission Kamehameha. I think he's the only one that has three. Krillin, he's got his Scatter Beam, and then Destructo Disc. Gohan has the Masenko, and then I think he just has Masenko, and then when he becomes Ultimate Gohan, he gets the Beat Rush. Uh, and let's see, Piccolo has Special Beam Cannon, and then Hellzone Grenade. Um, go guys, go. And then let's see, it's Piccolo, Krillin. I think you get Tien and then Yamcha later, and then obviously Wolfang Fist and then Tri-Beam, but nobody ever used those guys anyways. Um, but yeah, no, still my favorite game in the series. I recommend it today. I think the only place you can get it is if you emulate it. I don't think they've ever re-released it for America. I have the original version right here for the PlayStation. Um, it works on my PlayStation because my PlayStation is modded with a chip on the back, so I can use it. If you have one of the original release PlayStations, there was a trick that you could do where if you pinned open the disc tray, you could trick your PlayStation by reading a Japanese disc by swapping it during the. There's a whole thing on YouTube, you can look it up. But yeah, Dragon Ball: The Legend is my favorite in the entire Dragon Ball gaming franchise.
Yep, and then on the next one on the list is one I'm probably sure you're also familiar with. This one was released for the PlayStation. It is Dragon Ball GT Final Bout.
Oh yeah, yeah. So remember when I said earlier the other game was the what was it, Ultimate Battle 22 was the worst? It's Final Bout. Final Bout is hands down the worst game in the franchise. I forgot about this game until you just named it. God, that game's awful. The gameplay is atrocious. Everything is like PlayStation went for that polygonal PlayStation look. Like it looked like I think it was Bandai that released it too. They wanted that PlayStation polygonal look, and it was blocky and gross, and the combos were stupid. Yeah, I mean, it was awful. It was like the worst game ever. Had a pretty good roster of characters, had a pretty good story thing going in it, but gameplay wise, it sucked. The combos were hard to pull off. There was like too many button inputs. The characters were super slow. It was just yeah. It was like it had, and even today has forever lag. Like you can't play that game comfortably. It's not good.
Yep, and then the next one on the list, we're now in the 2000s. This one was an Australia exclusive.
Wow.
And released in 2001 for Windows and Macintosh. Dragon Ball Z collectible CD picture cards.
Uh, that sounds interesting. I've never heard of that one before. Okay.
It says here that it was a series of 10 collectible pocket CD-ROMs released exclusively in 2001 in Australia, designed and produced by Stream Media Pty Ltd. Uh, let's see, each disc was available at random from packets and also given as part of a promotion with Coca-Cola.
Huh. Actually, those would be pretty rare to hunt down. I might do some hunting. Um, yeah, I don't know
Get some
anything
on
about
your
that one.
friends. I might be able to see if they can look it up for you.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one. So neat. All right, what's next?
Let's see. That would be Dragon Ball Z Budokai, released in 2002. Now we're getting into the PlayStation 2 era. That was released in 2002 in Europe and America, and North America, and then in Japan a year later, and February 13th, 2003 for Japan, November 2nd in Europe, 2002, and North America, December 3rd, 2002.
Nice. So I own every game in the Budokai series. I have one, two, three, Ultimate, all of them. Budokai is another great game. So it was funny because it was like it it blew everybody away when it first came out. It was the animation on it was clean. It was kind of like um it came out in the time where fighting games to me were getting stale, and you had your Soul Calibers, you had your whatever else was out, Mortal Kombat's and all that. But Budokai just was like the fan, a Dragon Ball fan dream come true. The storyline was really good in it. The only thing is though, that game will break your thumbsticks because the amount of the thumb rolling that you got to do in that game, especially in the very beginning when you're fighting Raditz and you're trying to
Yeah.
stay in line with the special beam cannon. I broke a controller playing that part. So
Yeah, I bet. Let's see. It came out in 2002 for the PlayStation 2, and 2003 for the GameCube. And then again in 2012 for the 360 and PlayStation 3.
yeah, that's when they did the HD re-release.
And that's when I first played that one.
Yeah, it was kind of clunky, but the Budokai series got better as it went along.
Next one is Budokai 2, released just a year later in all countries. In Europe, Australia, North America, and Japan, and throughout 2003 and 2004. Came out. Let's see. And the next one after that was Budokai 3.
Yeah. So was it Budokai or no? Yeah. So Was it Budokai 3 or did that when it jumped into the Tenkaichi?
Budokai 3 was released on the PS3 in 2012 along with the 360, so I do remember playing that one.
Okay.
And I believe Budokai Tenkaichi came later. The one before Tenkaichi was a North American exclusive that was released March 22nd, 2005, Dragon Ball Z Sagas. That was
Oh.
for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and the Xbox.
Oh. Sagas. Now Sagas leaves a sour taste. Well, hold on. Before I get into Sagas, let's get into 2 and 3. So 2 and 3, so Budokai 2 and 3 diverted away from Budokai 1, and it being that Budokai 1 looked kind of like it was 3D, but it was kind of like almost like how do I say Play-Doh-y? It was kind of like it was old even for the time, I would think. So Budokai 2 and 3 got into what the cell shaded look, and that's when the series looked really good. Those two games were awesome. So yeah, and then we got Sagas, and Sagas a a beat 'em up on a 3D plane. You'd run around as characters, redoing the storyline, and and you would fight like in certain areas it was either Cybermen or little robots, and you'd go. It was awful, atrocious. It ties Dragon Ball GT for one of the worst Dragon Ball games of all time.
Yeah. Then moving on after Sagas, we got Budokai Tenkaichi, released in Japan for the PlayStation 2 everywhere in 2005. A couple days after one another, October 6th for Japan, October 18th for North America, and October 21st for Europe. Budokai Tenkaichi is a series that I'm well familiar with. I played majority of them in my childhood. Uh, to me, Budokai Tenkaichi was actually a pretty fun game.
So Tenkaichi changed the Dragon Ball fighting game at the time, and the reason or the change was that in Budokai 1, 2, and 3, you're fighting on you were doing that traditional side-scrolling fight, and the camera would kind of rotate around depending on what you did or like the moves you were doing and all. But you really didn't have any freedom. Tenkaichi changed it because now you were fighting in an arena style fighting game, and where you would have one guy, or you would have your opponent on one end of the map, you're on one end of the map, and then you run in and clash together, and then you could escape and fly around the map. And then the storylines were actually pretty cool because I think, was it the Tenkaichi series where you played on like a little game board for the main storyline or whatever? You would be like on a game board, and then you would like,
Yeah.
yeah, those were fun. That story mode was really good, and then they got into like the weird stuff where they had the what if storylines, and then they brought in like one of my favorite features of those series was the fusions. So they had weird fusions, like they had the Goku Hercule fusion, they had the Tien and Yamcha fusion. There was a couple other ones. Then they had your traditional, but the rosters on those Tenkaichi games were insane. There were
Yeah.
so many characters. They even had Garudon, and who, like, when you played him, he like took up the entire frame. Like you, so
Yeah. And speaking of fusions on Budokai and the what ifs, that's what really started the heated debate of the Dragon Ball fan base of which fusion of Goku and Vegeta is the strongest one.
right, because they did have Vegito and they did have Gogeta, and I'll settle the debate right here. I'll tell you right now who's stronger. It's Gogeta. It has to be, because here's the difference. Vegito has been used twice in the series and never won a fight. He's never won a fight, not once. He's come out, he's done his little comedy thing, and he's gotten close, but he's never sealed the deal. And Gogeta's been used twice, canon and non-canon, and he's ended it just like that. So non-canon, he defeated Janemba, gave him
It,
the Soul Crusher, end of
yeah,
story.
Skull
And
Crusher or Stardust Breaker, depending on
yeah, that's right, Stardust Breaker. That's what it's also called. And then in Dragon Ball Z, Broly, he sent Broly to Pound Town. He ended that, and had it not been for Chile, Broly would have been wiped off the map.
Yeah,
And in
and
that
I
bat,
actually agree. Gogeta being one of the stronger fusions. The only thing I will give to the fact of Vegeta, while he has never completed a fight, um, it doesn't mean he couldn't.
no, he's just too
He,
goofy.
yeah, he's more goofy, but then you gotta bring into account, if you're bringing in goofiness, you gotta bring into effect of the non-canon GT fusion, Gogeta Super Saiyan 4, where he
Yeah,
really could have just ended Omega Shenron right then and there, but
I forgot about that. Yeah, so
he
he,
played
yeah.
around too much,
Yeah, he
which is
used all
why
his
some
power.
people,
If you
yeah,
want to get to the nitty gritty of it too, then Vegito technically has the upper hand because his fusion's an hour versus Gogeta's 30 minutes. And then Gogeta ultimately, I don't know if they retconned it, they might have, but depending on how much power you put out, it also reduces time. So, uh, I mean, ultimately, if that's how it's based, then Vegito has the upper hand, but Gogeta would have to come in, pound out, and then be done because the amount of power that guy's putting out is beyond what they
yeah,
Dragon Ball will allow. So,
yeah, and in terms of a fight, I would actually give the edge, if we were going based just purely off base form, no power ups, and just basing it off a time limit. I'd give the edge to Vegito there. But if we're gonna factor in abilities, power ups, then if it's a fight to the death, Gogeta's gonna take the cake. Because he once he gets serious, it's just an over fight.
and Gogeta between the two fusions is the more serious fighter. I think he knows ultimately it's got to get done and got to get done quick. Where Vegito has too much of, I think Vegito has too much of Gogeta. I mean, too much of Vegeta in him, as he likes to showboat, and Vegeta's been known to showboat in let things get out of control and then regret it later.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
anyways, back to the game list.
yes, the next one is an arcade and PlayStation 2 release of Super Dragon Ball Z, released in 2005 for the in Japan for arcade, then later on in 2006 for the PlayStation 2.
I have played that one. Super underrated game. Not anything special, I would say, but it's a good game. I would recommend that for people if they want to do some retro game hunting.
And then one that I did end up playing on the Wii at one point was Budokai Tenkaichi 2, released in 2006 and for the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo Wii.
That one, so the Wii versions of the Budokai and the Tenkaichi series were really hard to play because they tried to usher in that Wii motion stuff, and it just
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of obnoxious. So
Yeah, it was very obnoxious. Then the next one after Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is one that I did play for the PlayStation 3 and 360 was Burst Limit.
so here's this I did go. So that was another one of my favorite in the series, the Burst Limit series. The Burst Limit games were really good, and I don't remember if it was one or two, but one of them had that exclusive anime that it came with. It was the
Plan to Eradicate Old Saiyan.
right. Was that one or two?
Uh, it was actually in the Budoten series is where it mainly
Right.
from. And then in Tenkaichi 3, yeah, it came with an exclusive anime. And that was what the anime is. They took that and pretty much just gave it its own little movie.
Right, and it was really good. The animation on it was actually pretty good, and then the story
Even
was
now,
actually
when you
pretty
look
good.
at it, you would think that it was made in within
Yeah,
like a year or two ago. Like,
so I actually popped it in my Xbox 360 for research, and I watched the anime on there, and it almost has that super quality to it. And people will complain about the quality of Super. I like it. I don't like how they did a couple of things where they changed Trunk's hair and all that, but I thought it was pretty good.
yeah. And then the next game that came out in 2008, we're still in 2008, was the very first game I ever played for Dragon Ball, which was Infinite World.
Oh, yeah. This is the one I've never played.
I did end up playing that one. Infinite World was more of there's not even any information on here because no one really remembers that one. But from what I remember, it was more of a GT game. GT was a primary focus on it,
Oh,
as
nice.
it did feature Super Saiyan 4.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, okay. They have it on PS2. Yeah, that's weird. I've never played this one.
It's a good game. It wasn't bad.
Huh. I might have to check it out. I might have to check that one out. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say some good things about it, but yeah, I never played that one.
Yeah, and then let's see. Next one that was released for the Nintendo Wii in 2009 was Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo.
Yeah, now I have played that one. I don't own it. I think it's super rare and expensive. I think. Let me double check. But this was a good game. My friend had it. I borrowed it. Um, uh, let's see. It was it was a I think it if I remember correctly, I think it went over like the dragon. It was the beginning of the or no, it was the I think it was the Piccolo saga, right?
Yes.
Obviously. And you said it was for the Wii.
Yeah. It looks like it only released for the Nintendo Wii.
Oh, it's actually not that expensive. Wait, they had a Wii U version of it? Oh no, it came in a blue case. Yeah, I remember playing it though. It was really good. I was surprised by how good it was. And it was neat to play as like Kid Goku too, because like you didn't get to do that too often in a lot of the other series. So, I mean, he kind of like he had like some appearances in like the Budokai series and all that, but this was like solely about him, and the story in it was really good, and then the fighting was actually pretty good. Um, so yeah, it was a good game though. That's one that if you can find it, I'd recommend picking that up if you have a Wii because it's pretty good. Only play it on original hardware though. I mean, you can emulate it, but it feels better on the Wii for some reason.
Now we are starting to get into more of the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 games. The first one being Raging Blast, released in
I
2009.
Yeah, I've played both of them. I think there's two.
Yeah. Then Raging Blast 2 came out a year later in 2010.
Hmm.
I remember playing. I actually did play both of those, and I did like them. They were fun.
I think you played them with me. I think I had them on my PlayStation 3, and you guys were over, and I think I let you guys play.
Oh, it's Raging Blast that had the anime one.
Right? Okay, it was Raging
Because
Blast.
I'm
Okay.
looking at the picture at it, and I see whatever his villain's name
I
was.
don't remember his name either. I thought he was cool though.
Yeah, I did like. I would like to see him actually make a like out of all the non-canon villains, the two that I would like to see is the one from that is the plan to eradicate all Saiyans to become
Yeah.
canon, as well as Cooler.
I I'm almost certain Cooler's coming at some point. I'm not 100% sure when, because now honestly they kind of negated him with Frieza getting Black Frieza, his Black Frieza form now. So I mean, unless Cooler's like 2 times stronger than that, I don't see where he'd be a threat. But yeah, he'd be pretty cool. Maybe to get Goten and Trunks a uh, a movie or a set for their own because obviously they're not as strong as the others, and I would say Cooler would be like a good challenge for them. Like everyone else is gone or something, and Trunks and Goten are the only ones on Earth, and they have to like protect it from him. That'd be pretty cool.
Yep. The next game we got is considering itself to be the first MMORPG based in the Dragon Ball universe. Dragon Ball Online released in
Yeah.
2010 for Windows.
Yeah, so that was I want to say that was a Japanese release only, and you there was ways to get it working here, but it was really obnoxious. But that game was actually pretty fun.
Yep, and it looks like it was developed in Japan and in South Korea.
Yeah, so that game was pretty much like it was ultimately what Xenoverse was, or and then kind it was like I want to say like a mix between I'm probably 100% wrong. I know I'm gonna get it for this. I want to say it was like World of Warcraft and Xenoverse had a baby. Um, but you could play as different classes. So there was human, Saiyan, Majin, Namekian, and I think that's it. Maybe Android. I'm not 100%, but yeah, you pick the class.
So, like a precursor for Xenoverse.
Right. Yeah, I think ultimately that's where Xenoverse came from because yeah, you pick a class and then you would level up this person and then you would go through like the little storyline or you'd go out and do your little adventure quests and all that. And I did play it. It was actually really fun. It was super addicting, but there was just so much going on at that time in my life that I barely got into it. By then, when I wanted to get back into it, it was dead. So
Yeah. The next one is Ultimate Tenkaichi, released
um,
in 2011 for the PlayStation 3 and 360.
yep, I actually have that sitting right here on the shelf next to me. Um,
Oh,
People don't like it. I thought it was fine. I played it. It was just like the other games in the Tenkaichi series. I don't remember why people don't like it. I do. I thought the story in it was pretty good. The combat was really good. They had that combo system in there where you would like send someone flying and you'd have to tap a button and yeah, your combos were like you could juggle somebody on that game for a long time and you could start a fight because sometimes they would never even get a hit in. But yeah,
Yeah, and I believe this is when the time when Bandai Games became Namco Bandai Games, when it became its own label under Bandai.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But the Ultimate, I like it. It was a good game.
And one that I think we can both agree on was sort of a failure for Xbox games, uh, released in 2012 for the 360, was Dragon Ball Z for Kinect.
Oh yeah. So this was the reason why I even bought a Connect. I had a Connect and I bought it for this for there was two games I bought it for. It was Connect Star Wars and Connect Dragon Ball Z, and they both were just dumpster fires. I mean, the concept was pretty cool, and I think it was a precursor to like where VR wants to go. And I think now with the power of the PlayStation VR 2 and maybe the Oculus and stuff like that, I think if done right now they could do a Dragon Ball game in that style. But the Connect, yeah, I mean you could barely get the Connect to see you anyways or respond correctly. So both those games were just a miss.
Yeah, and then releasing next was the Budokai HD collection.
Yep, I own those, and that was I believe the HD collection was Budokai 1 and 2, and then they were beautiful. They made them beautiful. Um, so yeah, they were pretty good. It was
And
fun to go back.
now we're getting into ones that I didn't even know were a thing and never got a chance to play them myself for the PlayStation 3, 360, and the Vita of all systems, released in 2014, was Battle of Z.
Battle of Z was one that I missed too, and I wanted to play it. I'm actually debating whether or not I should buy it on eBay or see if I can find it at my friend's shop or the other mom and pop shop over here close to me. Um,
Yeah, because
Battle
it
of
looks like
Z,
it goes through the entirety of Z, because it even shows Super Saiyan God.
yeah. So Battle of Z was where the god got introduced. I do believe Beerus is in it.
Yep.
Um, and Battle of Z was where Super Saiyan God got its start. So it was I'm not 100% sure, and like I said before, I know I'll get it, but I think they introduced Super Saiyan God into this game just before the Battle of was it the Battle of the Gods came out. Um,
Yeah, I believe Battle Gods came out. Actually, no, it might have came out before then.
did it?
Yeah, because yep, the game features elements from the 2013 film Battle of Gods.
Okay. So then I was wrong. So yeah, that was the first time the Super Saiyan God had gotten released into a game. But I do believe Super Saiyan God came out into a game before the movie. Um, I'll look it up real quick. But yeah, no, Battle of Z I always heard um, was a good game, and I wanted to play it. And at that time, I wasn't gaming at that time, so I had taken a break from gaming, and I missed it completely. So, but I do want to pick it up and give it a shot.
Yeah. The next one, we actually got the series coming in. Uh, Xenoverse 1 and 2 releasing 1 year after one another, so 2015 and 2016. For the PlayStation 3, PS4, 360, Xbox One, and Windows, with Xenoverse 2 releasing in 2017 on the Switch, just after the PS4, Xbox One, and Windows.
I have no experience with the Xenoverse games, so I don't have an opinion on it. I know you have more knowledge of the Xenoverse games than I do, so why don't you just give us a brief summary of those games?
So the primary focus of Xenoverse, you can choose your character. You can be a human, a Saiyan, You can even be a Frieza race, a Majin race. There's no Android race. I believe that didn't come until Xenoverse 2. Um, but I got started on Xenoverse 2 actually, because I ended up getting a bundle with Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2 through my PlayStation Plus. Um, so I got started on them pretty late as well, but from my experience playing them, the focus is you're pretty much a time patroller with this is when we actually get introduced to Xeno Trunks, a version of Trunks that got picked up by the Supreme Kai of Time, a new character that was introduced. Uh, we now just pretty much go around and fix the timeline. If the timeline gets messed up, something happened that wasn't supposed to, we pretty much are the ones to go back, fix that mistake, and then leave before we alter anything else.
Yeah, I remember the storyline. People talking about that. And then I heard I played a little bit of Xenoverse 2. Actually, I think it was your copy that I borrowed and played for a little while. And yeah, I thought it was okay. I didn't really like. I don't know. It was like kind of like RPG ish, and I was like, at that time I really didn't want to like get into anything like that, so I kind of let it slide. And then I did play it a little bit later on when they introduced uh, Ultra Instinct and a bunch of other characters just to try it out. So
Yeah, when they added Ultra Instinct, it completely broke the game. Actually,
as it should.
they made him, they made him a bit too powerful in terms of, uh, just his power alone.
Yeah.
When you would charge up, it like you couldn't really even be hit. Like
I seen
you, if you
his
were quick
power up.
enough, yeah, like it just completely broke Xenoverse 2 for a bit, and they balanced it so far. It got balanced.
Hmm.
He's still very much OP to use in a fight. It's more or less that the entire Xenoverse community has collectively said, try not to use him in a fight unless you want to get hurt.
Right. Hold on one second.
And
Sorry about that.
yep, you're good. The next
Um.
game to come out was Fighter Z in 2018 for uh everywhere pretty much.
Yeah. So I got into fighters pretty heavy for a while. I was even ranked for a little bit. Not anything too close to the top. I was in that middle range rank. Um, fighters was probably so I have three top games. It's Dragon Ball Legends or The Legend for PS1. Uh, Dragon Ball Dragon Ball Fighters is would be number two, and then three for me would be Kakarot. But we'll get into that one a little bit. But yeah, Fighters was just, and even now I'll pop in on my Xbox and play it because it's on Game Pass. I don't know if it's still on there, but I do have it for PlayStation. But it's just so freaking good. The combo system is not too bad to learn. The ultimates are like beautiful. It's got a decent roster of characters. Ultra Instinct is on there. That's even now broken. I mean, destroy an entire you can destroy an entire team with just him if you got it. Online
Yeah.
play is super competitive. It's also bases you on your skill, so you're never really ranked with anybody too outside your league. Um, it did have an interesting storyline in where they brought it. So the story goes that you are some weird little soul thing, and you get sucked inside of like Goku's body or whoever's body you're in at the time, and their power's been reduced by Android 21. Is
Yes,
it 21?
Android. Yeah, Android 21.
Yeah.
also known as Dr. Giro's wife
Yeah.
and the mother of Android 16.
Yeah. So your power's been reduced and sucked up by Android 21, who then goes around and she's trying to ultimately destroy all of you. And
Yeah,
she ends up having an ultimate transformation of like an android Majin hybrid.
yeah,
She's a
she's like
really
a Jekyll and Hyde character, pretty
right.
much.
She's a really fun
Flip
character.
side.
She's a really
Yeah,
fun character, and I'm almost certain we'll see her in the anime at one point.
I would see
She did
her.
show up in Kakarot. Oh wait, did she show up? I think she showed up in the last movie, didn't she? In Superhero.
I'm not really sure she did. I don't.
I thought.
I saw the movie, but it's been so long since I've seen it now.
I
I'll
feel
have to
like.
rewatch it and
Huh.
check.
Yeah, I
I
feel
don't
like.
remember seeing her though.
Huh. I don't know. Maybe I got that wrong. But yeah, no, she was an interesting character. I like the story that they did for it. The gameplay, it was absolutely beautiful. It looked like you were playing the anime. That's how good it was. But yeah, it's definitely one. If you haven't tried it, I would recommend it to everybody. Um, if you're not a skilled fighter, don't jump on mine because at this point, the people on there are legendary. So
Yeah.
I myself can't hold a candle to them anymore. I took too much time off. I need to go back and learn the system, but it's still a great game. The character roster is outstanding, and my team on there is Ultra Instinct, Goku, um, Gogeta Blue, and Ultimate Gohan. That team right there, max. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, Fighter Z is definitely a great game.
Yeah, and then we got the next one here. One that I actually have never played, but I've seen the anime adaptation of it. Is Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission.
Yeah, so we won't spend too much time on the hero games. I acknowledge them. I know that they're there. I do kind of like some of the weird stuff that they're doing because it's alternate time and reality stuff. You play as the hero. I think his name's Beats. Is that his name? He's a
Yes, I
base.
believe so.
Yeah, it's a character from the real world that gets sucked into the Dragon Ball world, and it's also it's a
It's
card
pretty
based
much a
game.
what if game.
Yeah, it's a card based game too. So you scan your card, and then you get that character when you scan them. You can buy card packs. The anime is pretty cool because it does a lot of what if stuff too. Um, but yeah, we won't spend too much time on them. They're good games. They're okay. Yeah.
Then we got the current background video here for the game. For our video here, Kakarot.
Oh, I shut it off.
Oh, you shut it off.
Yeah,
It's
I shut
still
it off.
playing on my end.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, we got Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which the whole fandom of Dragon Ball can agree one of the best Dragon Ball games to date, and everyone's hoping that the next one that they're releasing, um, is gonna follow up. And you know, Kakarot left some pretty big shoes to fill in terms of Dragon Ball games. It really raised the bar in terms of fighting mechanics and storytelling.
Right. Yeah. It was. I'll go. I'll say. What did I say? My top three games are. I'm freaking mind. I'm my brain farting here. It was Legends. Uh, Legends, Fighters, and Kakarot. There we go. So Kakarot, yeah, Kakarot. It was. I love the way that it was at a time when I was like craving something long to play, and then the story obviously it goes from Dragon Ball all the way to well shoot now it goes all the way into the the God stuff. I think the last storyline they released was
I believe the Tournament of Power.
no, I don't think they've done Tournament of Power yet. I kind of hope that they do. I think no, it was the History of Trunks was the last one,
Yes, that.
and the one before that was the Rising Power one where you become Super Saiyan God, God and then Blue. Um, but yeah, no, it's an outstanding game. The gameplay was really good. I love the RPG elements of it. The animation on it was incredible. The ultimates are awesome. Uh, and then the leveling system was crazy because I thought it would end at 100, but then you go higher as the DLC came out. You would go higher. So ultimately, my characters were all freaking godly, literally. And then, but yeah, no, it was fun flying around on Nimbus or flying around as Goku and Piccolo, Gohan, and all them. And the only thing that kind of sucked is like you could only use the fusion characters, and then you could only use the fusion characters. Sorry, my kids are fighting. You could only use the fusion characters, and then like certain other fighters and stuff only at certain points of the game. So like you got one shot at Vegito, and that was it. And then so. But yeah, that's my opinion on Kakarot. I'm gonna mute my mic and go see what's going on. So go ahead and fill him in on anything else that you want.
Yeah, we only got like 2 games left, so go ahead and fill them in on that. The next game that was released was in 2022, last year, for all systems. It was the survival game Dragon Ball: The Breakers.
I skipped this one entirely because this game just looked like trash. I didn't want to try it. I don't like survival games, so this was a skip for me.
Yeah,
I'll probably buy it just to have it so I can collect it, because I think ultimately it'll be a collector's item, because I don't know if anybody played this game. It just looked bad, so I wasn't.
And the last one has yet to be determined. The release date is to be determined, but it is the untitled Budokai Tenkaichi.
All I hope for this game is that they update the roster, update the graphics Kakarot style, and just leave everything else alone. Just give us what we had in the Tenkaichi series before. Give us the updated roster, the super characters, all that stuff. Throw in some other characters that we don't have, and just leave it alone. Let us go through. I do have another request though. Let us go through Dragon Ball all the way to Super. Let us go from the original Dragon Ball to the Tournament of Power, wherever we're at that point. But everything else after that, just leave it alone. The Tenkaichi series was perfect. Do those updates and just leave it alone.
And then to finish it off, just quick rapid fire, because they have some handheld consoles.
Oh no, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. I don't want to get into Legends.
Legacy of Goku, I feel like, is Legacy of Goku is one I feel like most people know.
Yeah, we don't have to get into the GB stuff and all that, Legends and all that. People know that they're there, and if they don't, they can look it up. But yeah, no. So the Dragon Ball series, yeah, it's some games hit, some games miss, but it helped fuel that freaking fandom of the anime, just because not only could you watch it, but then you could live it. You could play these games in the series, and I think Kakarot did it the best, because it was like like I said, it was like playing the anime. You were just like, you were there, you were in it. And then when they introduced the history of Trunks, and then they did the Rise of Power, and then I hope that they do the Tournament of Power, but I hope they do Broly too, because I'd love to play the Broly version of it, and I'd like to have Broly in the game. So
yeah, especially with Bardock now being canon.
Oh, they did Bardock too. Yeah, they did the Bardock storyline.
Yeah, all that really matters to me right now is the fact of because there's 2 movies that they did of Bardock.
Yeah, so
which one would be I don't think either of them are still considered canon still.
So canon, if you want to say canon, I believe Dragon Ball Zero, the one that they call Zero. I think Zero is canon, just because that's the Bardock from Broly.
Yeah.
Or Dragon Ball Minus. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Minus.
Yeah, that's the Bardock from the Broly movie. So I would think that's canon now. And I I know it's blasphemy, but I like that Bardock better. I think they can build on that one. I do love the original one still, and I like how he sacrificed himself supposedly. I mean, because there's that whole thing of he time warped and all that. Uh, but I like the original Broly. I mean, the original Bardock too. But I think they can do more with this one because they didn't. The thing about this Bardock is they didn't leave the minus Bardock story told, so you don't know if he did try. I mean, obviously he probably did try, but you don't know what happened between them sending Goku to Earth and then him fighting, that Frieza thing. So maybe he did rise up and fought Frieza like the original Bardock did, and or maybe they just Frieza blew up the planet and that was it. But there's empty story there that they could do with this Bardock. So
Yeah, and you know, you listed off your favorite character from Dragon Ball. Mine would have to actually be uh, Gohan.
yeah, good choice.
What about villain?
My favorite villain. So my favorite villain still has to be Frieza. I mean, it's always gonna be Frieza. He's persistent. He's really the only one that they seem to want to equal up to the Saiyans. He's the one that really right now, especially with the Black Frieza arc coming, or I don't know if they're in it yet. I'm off the manga for a bit, but he's the only one that they seem to want to be toe to toe with the Saiyans, and obviously with Black Frieza, I mean, he trained 10 years in the time chamber like dimension or whatever they said. Um, so he's significantly stronger than them. So for me, it's always going to be Frieza, just because he's just so much like the Saiyans, and I do think ultimately, depending on where Toyotaro goes with the anime and I mean with the manga and Toriyama, I do think Frieza ends up a good guy at one point. I really do. And if not, then I think ultimately the one that has to put him down is Vegeta. They have to let Vegeta put him down. It's got to be Vegeta. It started
Yeah,
with Vegeta. It has to end with Vegeta.
yeah, and for me, I'd have to say my favorite villain is Cell.
Yeah, I could see that. Cell's the one where I do like Cell. I like that, and he was definitely so much like the Saiyans, obviously because of the DNA and all that. But I think they did Cell dirty in Superhero. I kind of wish that they would have done the thing where Cell becomes perfect and then give Beast Gohan more of a fight, because I felt like Beast Gohan being brought in and just one shotting him was kind of cheap. I would have liked more of a detail. How strong is this guy now? Um, because like Beast Gohan, that I so hope that becomes a thing in the anime and the manga soon, because that's just that transformation is wild. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
uh,
I thought they did Cell dirty.
yeah, they really did in that movie. I would agree with that.
Yeah, they gave a second stage boring Cell and he one shotted him, even though he was ginormous. But all right, so that was our take on the Dragon Ball franchise. I think we're gonna end it here because we're getting on the long side. I like to end it with what we're playing right now. So right now, currently, I am playing Final Fantasy 16. Uh, really good game. I like it. It's a cross between, in my opinion, it's a cross between Devil May Cry and then the Final Fantasy series as we're used to. Fast-paced combat, incredible storyline. One of my game of the year so far. Um, I the only couple complaints that I have is there's still a lot of motion blur in it in performance mode. Um, and then it's what was the other thing? Um, Really, honestly, that's it. Just kind of, it still kind of looks kind of like yucky in a way, but other than that, it's a really good game. I recommend that one highly. And then that's what I'm playing right now. What are you playing right now?
Uh, some of my friends got me some games. They got me Black Ops 3
Nice,
and Rainbow Six Siege, and then I got some free games I've been playing as well, like Minecraft and all.
nice.
I bought Minecraft a while ago, so I've just been waiting to have an actual PC to play on.
Yeah, and we got that taken care of for you. I got that gaming PC. Got that gaming PC too now. So now you got a gaming PC. So now you're able to catch up on some gaming stuff. So that way we have more stuff to talk about. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. Fatman at um, I am Fatman at the Fatman Gaming on YouTube.com. On PlayStation, I am Drake12, and I'm gonna have more stuff for us getting started down the line. So that's me. Philip, tell them who you are and where they can find you, and let's get out of here.
Yeah, name's Zio. You can find me on all social media at Zio_Philip or on YouTube at Zio Keys.
All right, guys. So that's where we're gonna end it. Make sure you guys do the like, subscribe, and then give us a shout out. Leave us a comment. We want to see what you guys are thinking of this. Um, on Spotify, leave us a review if you're listening, and then yeah, help us get this thing going. We could really use your help and support. We're enjoying doing it. I'm absolutely loving doing this. I'm hoping that eventually it does take off. And I can't do that. We can't do that without your guys' support. I'm super thankful to my co-host. He came in at a time when I was really wanting to do this, and I couldn't because people don't like doing this. I'm really not fond of doing it. I'm getting there now. It's actually helping with my social anxiety. Um, so yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think my partner's enjoying it, and we'll catch you guys out on the next one. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And don't forget to do the like, subscribe, and do all that stuff. Leave us a review. We'd appreciate it. And then yeah, and then on the next podcast, we're gonna be doing a giveaway, and I'm gonna announce it at the beginning so that you guys will actually want to participate in it. It's the same giveaway. We're doing the PS2 giveaway. And yeah. So all right, guys, catch us on the next one. This is episode 3. We'll catch you guys on episode 4. Don't know what we're gonna be talking about yet, but yeah, we're gonna be getting in there. So yeah. All right, Zio, tell the people bye, and let's get out of here.
See ya.
Peace out, everyone.